What's up, gentlemen? In today's video, we're going to be talking about critters, and the many forms of them in Battle Nations. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the young, tamed, and adult critters and the nuances around them. We'll start with the normal or the tamed critters, then go on to the young version. Then afterwards, after we're all done, we'll talk about the adult variants. I'll also be leaving out legendary animals because I feel that they need a whole video on their own with possible changes that Madrona could make to keep them in line with the balancing of the other promos. But starting off, we have the Raptors. At level 10, you unlock both the young and the normal raptor at the animal training camp. Let's talk about the normal raptor first. It costed some gold and 4 to 5 teeth. And you actually obtained one first after the mission Raptor Crew Part 2, where you turn in 5 teeth and you get one as a reward. For when you unlock them, they're a pretty good unit, dealing with the critter encounters and the raiders pretty well because of their highish damage and good crit bonuses. In the early game, if you have 2 of these, you can just attack back to back constantly because they only have a 1-turn cooldown, making the earlier fights go super fast. The one downside is they do cost teeth to repair, so if they die on you, then it is kinda rough unless you've been stockpiling teeth a bit. The same can sorta be said about the young raptor, but in practice it's much worse. It doesn't help either that these things cost 15 nanopods to obtain, and for no discernible upgrade. They dealt way less damage, had way less health, so their performance versus the normal battle raptor was worse. And then on top of that, they costed lumber as well as the teeth and gold to repair. And unless you're AP, there's no reason at all to train young raptors. They're basically a nanopod battle raptor, but it's just ass cheeks. You also can't even gamble with them using black nanopods, whereas the battle raptor can be infected, turning it into one of the 4 tiers of the shredder. The rate of infecting are 40% for the proto, which is the worst, 30% for the normal, 20% for an advanced, and 10% for the archetype, which is the best. The archetype shredder is a crazy upgrade from the basic battle raptor. It gains an additional attack along with some extra damage, and the single shot swath attack can actually be used infinitely as it has no cooldown at all. Along with that, it also gains a crazy amount of health, going from 190 at R6 to 530 at R6. It's easy to say that there's pretty much no point in getting a young raptor, unless you're collecting one of every unit, or if you lost a bet and are forced to rank them up. Next up, we have the Boars. At level 12, you unlock the young boar, and at level 15, you unlock the imperial boar. The imperial boar costs some gold and between 5 to 7 teeth. It does do decent damage, but doesn't have any crit bonuses, unlike the raptors. The imperial boar is a little bit of a weird unit, because it's supposed to be in the front line because of its attacks only having 1 range, but it doesn't really have the health to back it up. It also has an extreme weakness to fire damage, taking an additional 25% damage from the fire damage type. At least the healing price is pretty much the same as the battle raptor, costing teeth and some gold. The same situation arises when comparing the imperial boar to the young boar. It deals way less damage, has much less health, and just like the young raptor, it also costs 15 fucking nanopods. And to top it all off, it has the same issue of costing lumber to heal even though you unlock it 3 levels before the imperial boar at level 12. This unit is probably one of the most cancerous units in the entire game to rank up because of it needing to be in the front to attack, but it also has no health at all to keep it alive. This unit is by far the worst young critter and has no business being in any legit formation. But moving along, we have the Mammoths. You unlock the young mammoth at level 21, and the war mammoth at level 29. The war mammoth costs some gold and between 7 and 10 teeth. But in order to train them, you must have the Mammoth pen, which does cost 50 nanos. But besides that, it's a pretty good tanking unit and deals decent damage with both attacks. Unfortunately, it does have the same problem as the Imperial Boar, where it only has one range, so you're forced to put it in the front line. Unlike the Imperial Boar though, the War Mammoth actually has the health and resistances to survive in the front. And just like the other adult critters, it does cost gold and 1 to 2 teeth to heal. Interestingly, the young mammoth is actually not too bad compared to the other young critters so far. It does have the same price tag of 15 nanos, but when we take into consideration that the war mammoth needs the 50 nanopod mammoth pen and the young mammoth doesn't, it wouldn't be a bad idea just to stick with the young mammoth. It does deal a little less damage, which does suck, but the health nerf isn't that bad, where the young mammoth has 340 health at R6 compared to the war mammoth's 450 at R6, while also sharing identical resistances. The downside is that the young mammoth, for some reason, also takes lumber along with the gold and 1 to 2 teeth to repair, which is unfortunate. Now next up are the Sandworms. You unlock the young worm at level 22, and the tamed sandworm at level 25. The tamed sandworm costs 65 nanos, making it the only animal that directly costs nanopods to train that isn't a young critter. But to make up for it, it is definitely the best out of all of the default critters at the training camp. It has 3 attacks that all deal pretty okay damage, but the main attraction is the acidic saliva attack. This is among some of the first ways that you can deal poison damage, and it is pretty damn solid. It also has really good health, along with having some armor, which definitely helps its survivability in fights. It does cost the default 1 to 2 teeth and some gold, but also lumber to heal, which does kinda suck, but it's nothing too bad. Its predecessor, being the young worm, isn't totally dogshit either. It costs 20 nanos to train, and it shares all of the same attacks that the tamed sandworm has, albeit with lower damage. Its acidic saliva attack is weaker, but it is still pretty good earlier on. It does have much lower health than the tamed sandworm, which does kinda suck, so you can't really spam them in the front like you can with its older brother. But overall, both these worms are the best critters in the training camp, and if you're gonna spend nanos on a young animal, the young worm or the young mammoth are probably your best bet. Before talking about adult critters, I wanted to discuss one last critter type, the Bigfoot. You unlock both the young and the adult Bigfoot at level 53 at the Bigfoot training camp. We'll start with the young Bigfoot first because both are non-nano and are unlocked at the same time. The young Bigfoot costs gold and 3 to 4 teeth to train. Both of its attacks aren't anything to write home about. The club does okay damage, with some decent crit bonuses against soldiers and critters, and then the rock attack, which is better, dealing okay damage as well, and has an 80% chance to stun. It doesn't have good health at all though, reaching up only to 300 at R6, which once you take that into consideration, along with this thing not having any resistances, plus it taking 35% more fire damage, it's kind of a shit-ass unit. It also takes 1 to 3 teeth and some gold to heal. The part that pisses me off the most is the fact this thing takes almost 700,000 SP to rank 2-6, and then it's just mid as hell. Now its older brother, the normal Bigfoot, is a bit better. It costs some gold and between 7 and 10 teeth, and its main attack is the Claw Swipe, which does do a decent amount of damage with some nice crit bonuses to critters and tanks. Its Boulder Toss is kinda underwhelming and isn't really worth using honestly. They do have really good health, however, getting up to 720 at R6. And they have really good resistances, only taking 40% explosive damage and 85% of piercing, but unfortunately they do take 55% extra fire damage, which does hurt a bit. The healing prices are the same, being 1 to 3 teeth and a small bit of gold though. The best part of the normal Bigfoot is the fact you can infect it using black nanopods and convert it into a mauler. The mauler is basically everything the default Bigfoot wishes he was. He has 3 attacks which all do serious amounts of damage, the best by far being the burrow attack where he hits in a checkerboard pattern, dealing crazy damage and has 75% armor penetration. The poisonous claws attack is also pretty damn good, capable of dishing out insane single target damage with added poison DOT. He also keeps the 720 health that the original Bigfoot had, but buffs the resistances on top of the previous explosive and piercing resist. He gains 20% less freezing damage, and instead of taking 155% of fire damage, it's only 125. The healing price also remains unchanged at 1 to 3 teeth and some gold. While infecting a Bigfoot, you have an 85% chance of getting a mauler and a 15% chance of getting a colossus, which if you're trying to get one, it's actually the highest chance way of obtaining it. And it's not even that bad because even if you don't get it, you're still getting an amazing unit. Now this next part is going to be looking at adult versions of each one of these animals, excluding the Bigfoots. These were all promotional units that were available from February 9th, 2013 to February 10th, 2013. And it was a bit odd because these units were only obtainable for one single day, but thankfully they would reappear in secret vaults later on. We'll go in the same order as before, starting with the Raptor Lord. The Raptor Lord costed 60 nanos, and it is genuinely one of the worst promos in the entire game. It is kinda similar to the Shredder, but if its damage and health were lower. Its main single target damage attack actually did less damage than the Battle Raptor, and its swipe attack also did less than even the Proto Shredder, but it did cover a larger area. It also had lower health than the Advanced Shredder, with the Raptor Lord only having 375 health at R6, compared to the Advanced Shredder getting all the way up to 460 at R6. It was also more expensive to heal than the Battle Raptor, costing some gold and 1 to 3 teeth. There is just simply no reason whatsoever to get this unit, and it wasn't even cheap either. 60 fucking nanos for this dumpster fire of a unit is actually crazy. Moving on, we have the Boar Matriarch, which costed 60 nanopods and thankfully was an actual upgrade compared to its normal variant. It had an additional attack and dealt better damage than the Imperial Boar, while also having much higher health at 490 at R6. It also had the same healing cost as the Raptor Lord, but at least it was an improvement on its previous unit. I still think that it's probably nowhere near worth 60 nanopods though. Maybe 30 to 40, but 60 is just a bit much. Next up we have the Mammoth Matriarch, which also costed 60 nanopods and had the most health out of all of the adult critters at 825 at R6. It dealt some pretty good damage and had an attack that hit the whole front row. In addition to the 825 HP, it had the same resistances that the previous 2 Mammoths had, and the healing cost was pretty cheap at the same 1 to 3 teeth and some gold. So overall, it was actually pretty worth for being 60 nanopods. Lastly, we have what the community collectively agree is the best adult critter out of them all. The adult Sandworm. This big fucker costed the same 60 nanopods like the rest, but ironically this actually made it cheaper than the tamed Sandworm, which is strange because stat-wise, the adult Sandworm is a whole different ballgame. First off, its damage on the acidic saliva attack was genuinely ridiculous, being one of the highest damage poison attacks in the entire game. Its burrow attack also dealt decent damage, and weirdly the heavy mass slam attack actually did less damage than the tamed Sandworm slam attack. But you're not buying this for the slam, you're buying this for the spit, because of just how strong it is. Along with the great damage, this also had 605 HP at R6, and costed the same 1 to 3 teeth plus some gold to heal. Overall, this is without a doubt the best adult critter and maybe even the best non-legendary critter in the entire game. But on that note, that's pretty much the end of this video. I was gonna add in the spider wasp units and even the Bigfoot shaman, but felt as they didn't totally fit into this video because originally I was just gonna talk about all the critters that were viable in the animal training camp, but then remembered that the Bigfoot had a young version, so I decided to include it. Other than that though, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any opinions or memories of these units that you'd like to share, please let me know down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, like, comment, and subscribe. I hope to see you guys later.